Hello. So this is just Tuesday trade plans, and this is going to be video record. These are for myself essentially. I'm making trade plans, and I'm just trying to be able to summarize my thoughts and my my plans for myself. I'm doing this because I found when I'd make trade plans, whether it's on this sort of notes that I have here, I wouldn't go into too much detail and it would be quite a chore. So I'm doing these videos, it'll be quite fun. And I want to go into quite a lot of detail, essentially have a complex understanding of a simple thing, which markets are in essence. Okay, so let's just start from month to daily, monthly to daily. Sorry, before we begin as well, I just want to say that hopefully these videos, if anyone does watch them, they'll be helpful for you because I found when I started trading, there's no, I am not a good trader at all. I'm pretty shit. Hopefully these can help me improve. But essentially, when I started, it was really hard to understand and get some key topics and understand really where to go. It almost felt as though everyone's hiding something, and the reason for that is because they are. And that's what I found. So yeah, there's no one secret for trading. You've just got to do it yourself. And after 2 years now, I'm still not profitable at all, but I'm feeling that I'm getting to that point where I can be confident in my approach. You got to stay humble, obviously. But I feel as though I can get profitable. Yeah. All right. So let's start. So monthly, we got our levels here. This is first monthly resistance. There's nothing too much going on. We had a nice engulfing candle here on the monthly. But again, we're just wicking the top of the previous candle with our current candle now. It's not really giving us anything. If anything, it's slightly bearish. We'd expect this engulfing to have continuation. Anyway, nothing much interesting. Let's go into weekly. Um, yeah, so essentially we had a weekly range here for 4 weeks on top of support, and now we've broke back down and we're testing support on the weekly time frame. So if anything, we're still bullish. We're testing support. That's inherently bullish. Um, this support, yeah, it's just wicks here, and then you got weekly resistance. Now it's weak because it's not the best candle. It gave a very weak bullish move up to here. So I guess you could say if price is struggling at weekly support or resistance or a level, then price must be quite weak at the moment. And as well, we've just had a lot of wick in price action. You had one wick here, we had a wick of that wick, and then we had a wick of that wick. So, SFPs, blah, 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 whatever. But I'll get into more detail on that in a second. And yeah, I guess if this breaks down fully and we close below here, I think we'd expect, for my thesis, I think we'd expect quite lower. Would this support hold? Maybe. I don't think any support here would hold, but it could. I've got to trade what's in front of you, and that's a bit too far in front. So yeah, let's go down onto the daily, and what we got here. So we got nice daily levels, and we got our weekly levels that we're dealing with here, which essentially are acting as support or could be acting as support. So we had nice lows here. Had quite cascading lows, and they've all been taken out. It's quite you'd expect that to happen. Didn't trade it though. Whatever. But we've had a nice daily range here. And now we've broken down. So face value, this on the low time frame is bearish. And the fact that also up here, we've had a lot of wicks. We tried to break out and we just couldn't, and we're not technically at any high time frame resistance. And we broke out and failed on essentially really good news, with the XRP settlement or whatever the fuck happened. But and now we've came back down and now we're breaking down. Now essentially weekly we're at support. Daily essentially we're breaking down from range, and more generally sentiment context wise, this is really quite weak if we're failing there, and we can't get much higher with this BlackRock ETF move, XRP settlement, and we saw on this move as well it was the alts that were dragging Bitcoin up. That's what I felt like essentially. And participants just feel all over the place. Sentiment on one day on crypto Twitter is like bullish and bearish, blah blah blah. Participants are horny essentially. And yeah, so this is where we're at. We've got conflicting views, and this is why I'm not really confident with anything at the moment. But again, if the daily reclaims this, and then I think that's really good signs, and I think we're going to move up higher. Especially with sentiment, you're going to have to watch the news flow, see how price is reacting. Is price diverging? Is price moving up on bad news? That that's pretty bullish, and we'll have to see other things. So let's go on to 4 hour, and yeah, this is the range we had, and this is where we're at now. We've broken down, and essentially we're forming a little range here, and we're rejecting off the top of that. So we had impulsive move. Essentially, what I'd expect is if we did have a push up into here, into this region here, and then came back down, closed on like an hourly basis, then we'd probably take these lows and make a new low. It's bearish continuation. That's one trade. This is not like FVG. Well, it is technically like FVG or whatever they call them. I like to do it on the 30-minute time frame because that's what the TPO is on, I believe. For the single move or imbalance, or I don't know. Anyway, the idea is, for me, is that if you've got an impulsive move downwards, then you don't really want to see, you want to see that impulsive downwards move hold, because if it doesn't move, if it doesn't hold, then all those battles, well, in this case sellers who sold that move, they've been absorbed and are essentially underwater if they've not already bought back, and that's that's now not bearish. So we want to see this hold, and essentially we've got a nice weekly slash daily level here, and the wick lows. So that's one trade idea. And then if we come back up into here, start closing above here on maybe 4-hour daily basis, then we can start considering, okay, maybe this was just a failed breakdown, and we can then expect definitely these lows to these highs to be taken, perhaps even higher up. We've got this single print move. Then if the sort of regime shifted, then we can expect this to be taken, and now we can move higher. This is just an anchored view up from the bottom, and as you see, it acted quite nice. Not really using it for any trades. I just saw it on, so I was like, oh wow, that's quite cool. But yeah, that's where we're at, and I want to see, essentially, we got the sort of daily breakdown, we got the weekly sort of at support, and we got the sentiment, which is weak. I want to see essentially all those to come into sync, and then I can be more confident in my approach. But they're the ideas that we've got so far. Let's go into some longer term, essentially trade plans that we've got. I've made these for a while now, so we've got we've got essentially what could be happening. We've got a failed breakdown, reclaim, bullish. Then we got, okay, if it just continues down, you maybe get into some nice trades. If you see a continuation set up, momentum continuation, then that's bearish. Yeah, and as well, if we lose weekly and this wick level on daily 4-hour time frame, got breakout, and then we got essentially it dupes both sides out. Like essentially what we had here, this was all in all a failed breakdown, but this could just continue for a while and then reclaim, and then we go. And that's that. What I do want to mention though is that from what we've had with this news and this failure here, I think price should be higher, and price shouldn't be doing what it's doing. Why is that happening? I don't know. Who knows? Some people do know, probably. Why are people selling? And essentially, all in all, that's more generally quite bearish. And essentially, on the weekly, this is just looking more like a bear market. Bear market rally, just come up, and now we're finding weakness. And if we do see this BlackRock buying get taken out, then that will be pretty bearish as well. And I think we expect much lower prices. We do want to see some strength as well come in with, essentially, if there's some bad news, we want to see price react favorably to that. So for example, to not react to it, to not be scared, we want to see buyers strong. Let's just go through a nice little trade that I took, which was recently, and it was quite a successful trade. Let's go on to this one instead. So essentially here we had this XRP news, and XRP came up, 100%, 99% in a day. We got our range 4-hour, and XRP news here, maybe, oh, look, Bitcoin, it's sort of finding support on the top, but it just comes back down. That's essentially, all in all, if this was if there was no news like that and price came back down, it would still be bearish. But the fact that there was news and it was good news, but price was diverging with that by breaking back into the range, that's really quite bearish, and that's why I knew at this point I could sort of put more risk on. I was quite convicted in this trade, and we had a really nice retest. I essentially, well, I fumbled the entry. That's one thing I did. I entered on this candle here, and it was going, and I just came back, and I was like, Christ, I've got to enter this pretty quick, and I entered here, and then it wicked, and really bad, poor entry, and then we just moved down, and I was targeting. I had a conservative target for these lows here. I have two targets, so one conservative, where I'd expect it to definitely hit, and then trade target. Trade target would be range low. And so we came down here, and then we're just forming a range. And I also expect when, you know, we have these sort of flow movements and we expect the other side of the range to get here, you'll get little ranges inside the big range to form. And we had this nice level here. We had the exact same thing, you know, move up into a momentum downwards, range, sort of find support on it. So it's respecting level, doesn't matter really. But if it breaks back into it, then that's bearish as well. And then I added more size there and expected this low to be hit, and got TP'd on this movement here. So that was a pretty nice trade. Really happy with that one. And yeah, as it stands, I'm really only interested in Bitcoin. Ethereum and alts I'm not too interested in, because I want essentially Bitcoin to come and sync on all time frames. Essentially, I want to be convicted, and at the moment I don't feel convicted. At face value, yeah, it looks like a breakdown on the daily and an hourly and blah blah blah, that is, but on the weekly it doesn't. It's essentially at support. It looks like it's just ranging here for a bit. It's coming into a weekly level, and then it might just blast off again. So I want to see some confirmation with that as well, confirmation and sort of coming into sync, you know. So either the weekly start to break down more, and then the weakness here, the weekly breaking down and the daily breaking down, that will all be in sync, and that'll be quite nice. Or alternatively, perhaps this is expired now. I want to see the weekly, we're finding support, which it is, and then I want to see the daily reclaim, and then everything would be in sync as well. And that would be nice. Essentially, we just ignore this news here, and yeah, that's it. For alt, well, for SPX, S&P, yeah, it's just moving upwards. It's not really too interesting, you know, where I support. I don't trade it. You just use it for confluence. Well, I do. But yeah, I mean, we've got levels. This is like the last level before all-time high for me. You probably want to be on this on the higher time frames, and essentially we're just breaking above it. So we'll have to see what happens there. So essentially, at face value, that's bullish. The XY, at face value on the weekly, this is still looking bearish, because we're just coming into a broken support level here. So we'll have to see what happens. Again, I think it's all eyes on Bitcoin, especially, well, it is for me. Ethereum, yeah, as I say, I'm not really interested in this too much. We're going to the daily. You know, we can see all these sort of lows cascaded here. I'd be surprised if these didn't get taken, if price didn't come back down here. But I'm just not really willing to enter into any trade, because Ethereum is really quite messy, I found, you know. It probably should have, you know, came down from here, it should have went faster. It's been really slow. I haven't liked it. For alt, you know, the strong alt is XRP. And we could be printing. I prefer this low to be taken first, and as we were rejecting from this, I'd prefer was to maybe come back down here and then reclaim, and then that would be pretty bullish. Again, it all depends on Bitcoin though. Tomo had a really strong day yesterday and today, it seems. It's finding support on this. Again, I'm not really too interested. It's just Bitcoin. But yeah, I would like to get into some maybe swing shorts if the sort of swing, the weakness, bearishness thesis comes into fruition, especially on Litecoin. If we go on Litecoin on the weekly, you know, it's just a grey day setup that we've had. Should have entered here. I was going to. I just missed it. Might give something else. We'll have to see. But yeah, that's it for me. Summarize, all eyes on Bitcoin. I want to see the time frames essentially come into sync, and I'd prefer to see some strength on Bitcoin, but again, I'm preparing for the weakness as well. I don't really care which way we go. And that's it. Yeah, thank you.